Welcome to the mill. I am your host, Dusty Crane. Today we are going to talk about the Automa for Wingspan and how to solo this game. First, let's talk about the components of the Automa. There are 11 Automa cards, including an expert level card called the Automa Society. You would include this card if you want a big challenge, or if not, go ahead and put it back in the box. I'm going to put it back in the box. There's also 2 action summary cards right here, which are incredibly helpful in remembering what each one of the, actions on the Automa cards actually mean. We also have 2 end-of-round scoring cards that tell you what the levels or the scoring point levels are for each end-of-round goal over here. And finally, we have a current round tracker card, which is not mandatory to play the game, but it does help you keep track of what round you're in, so I always use it. Let's talk about what the Automa does and doesn't do. The Automa does not get a player mat, it does not collect food tokens, and it doesn't have to pay for anything. It also doesn't benefit from any bird powers you may activate that would normally give resources to an opponent. However, the Automa does gather birds and eggs, but they'll only be used for endgame scoring. Let's talk about the setup of Wingspan solo mode. We are going to set up the game basically how you would normally. Before you give yourself any bonus cards, draw a bonus card for the Automa. There are some cards that don't apply, so let's go ahead and draw a card off the bonus deck. Visionary Leader. Alright, wait a minute. That is one of the banned cards. Some of these cards actually have percentages at the bottom of the card that tell you how many birds that goal applies to. If there's nothing there, or if it is the breeding manager or backyard birder, you will not use those cards. Let's go ahead and draw another one for the Automa. There, that one's better. Platform Builder. So the bonus for the Automa is birds with a platform nest are going to be worth some points. However, the Automa for endgame scoring is not going to get any points from that bonus card. It's just going to help determine how we draw cards later. I'll explain when we get to it. It is also at this point that you're going to decide what difficulty you're going to play on. You can play it Eaglet, Eagle, or Eagle-Eyed Eagle. That means, for the scoring purposes at the end of the game, any face-down cards that the Automa has gathered is worth either 3, 4, or 5 points. Now, when you do the setup, it is recommended that you use the green goal card, but you don't have to. But it does represent a core interaction between you and the Automa. Another thing you're going to do is give the Automa its 8 action cubes. Because this game of Wingspan belongs to you and you have home field advantage, you always go first. So let's go ahead and start the game how we would normally. I am going to just kind of simulate my turn, so you won't see me pay for stuff, but I'll try and make it look as legitimate as possible. We're going to say for my first action, I am going to play a bird card. I am going to put a blue jay out on the mat because it has one of these bowl nests, and that is part of the goal for round 1. Let's go ahead and start with the Automa's first turn. Alright, so for its first round, and we're only going to do the round that we are in right now, so this is the only action we're taking on this turn. We are going to play a bird card. This is the simulating that the Automa actually has a bird card. What that's going to do is we're going to look at these 3 face-up cards. We're going to look at the goal, and since there are benefits for the Automa having a platform nest, we're going to take all of the cards here that have a platform nest, which is these 2. We're going to pick the one that has the highest scoring value, which is this one. It's going to go face-up right here. The other one is going to be discarded. That is the entire turn for Automa. Let's go ahead and fill this back up, and we're on to my turn. For my next turn, since it is eggs in a bowl, and I don't have any other cards that would give me another bowl at this point, I'm going to go ahead and play right here to gain 2 eggs, and I'm going to put 2 eggs on my blue jay. On to Automa's second turn. Oh, Automa's going to gain some eggs too. So Automa, we're just going to put an egg, we'll just put it right there. And we can see this icon right here means that we are adding a scoring token to the end of round bonus. Now, what this means is, when we look here at round 1, we want eggs in a bowl nest. Here is the round 1 end of round goal. So eggs in a bowl nest would be right here, this one. So what this means is the Automa is already going to start with 1 egg in a bowl nest, because that is what that means right there. Now, because we've added this action cube, he actually has 2 eggs in the bowl nest. I've got 2 eggs in the bowl nest too. So right now we are at a tie for endgame goals. It is now my turn again. I am going to go ahead and play. We're going to pretend that I went ahead and paid one of these eggs. And I'm going to play another bird into the forest. And that goes down there. And we are on to the Automa's next turn. All right, so this card right here is to draw cards. Now that means that we are going to discard all the cards that are up here. These are just discarded. The Automa is going to add 1 face down to its deck, and then we are going to go ahead and reload this tray at the top. All right, so we just refreshed the cards up top. This icon right here means that the Automa has lost one of these endgame goals. So for the sake of just thematically, it would seem to indicate that he used an egg to pay for something. But now he is back to having just 1 egg in a nest, and I do too. So I probably need to, on my turn, go ahead and use one of my action tokens to lay more eggs. So I get 2 eggs there. I will go ahead and put 1 again on my bowl nest, bring me up to 2 to lead that scoring, and 1 right there. We're back to Automa's turn. All right, he is going to gain food. That's what that icon means. And what you see here is like a little chart, or it's a key that tells you the order in which it's going to grab the food. So it's going to start by taking any rats or rodents. We don't have any. However, the second thing it's going to take is fish. And so I'm going to go ahead and take all of that food type out of the dice tray. And looks like the Automa has gained one of those eggs back. This is actually fortuitous that this is a card that we drew, because you'll see some text on this card right here that says remove after round 1. Now, there are also cards in the deck, the Automa deck, that say the remove after round 2, remove after round 3, and that's part of the maintenance of the Automa deck between rounds. Let's go ahead and say that, I mean, and really, aside from one other Automa power, which is this one right here, which says activate all pink cards, and you would see it over on this side, you take whatever action is on the card. Let's just go ahead and bring this deck up for the sake of showing it off. Let's say that for the next action, we did this one right here. So we remove some more things from the dice tray and activate all pink powers. Now what that would do is every pink card you have on your player mat would be activated, and you would gain those benefits. That right there is really all that it takes to run the Automa. Let me show you the end of round cleanup. We're gonna go ahead and do the scoring. The Automa has 2 eggs in the bird nest. I have 2. We tied for first. This is really why this green mat is preferred, because your scoring will grow more, I guess, diverse if you're actually competing, you know, whether you got first place or second place or the Automa did. It feels more like you're competing against another player, because it's not just, oh, well, if I have, you know, an egg in the nest, it's fine. If I don't, that's fine too. Like, I guess let's get the scoring right here. It represents competing for that particular goal with another player. We got our end around goals scored. This card right here is going to flip over to its other side, which round 2 is now showing. We are going to go ahead and refresh this tray as usual. Put 3 new cards out. And we are going to pick up these Automa cards. And remember, we're going to remove that one that says we're at the end of round 1. We're going to take that one out altogether. We're going to pick up the Automa cards. We're going to shuffle those around. And we're going to flip this over to round 2 to help us keep track of what we're doing here. And set that back down there. Now in round 2, we are working towards birds in the grassland. Right now I have none. Let's clear this off too. We're going to pretend pretend I played a full round. We're going to be working in round 2. I'm going to go ahead and take my first turn. We'll say that I played a bird in the grassland because I want to be competitive for that. We're going to play the bird. We'll put that up there, and then that slides over. Now on the Automa's turn, we're going to flip this card over, and now we're taking this row of action. We're not doing anything up here or these 2 down here, just round 2. So the bird feeder, there's only one type of food left. So let's go ahead and toss these dice back into the bird feeder tray. We're going to take care of this dice right here. Any pink powers that I had on the board, I would activate due to that right there. That is pretty much how the game is played with the Automa. I'm going to go ahead and just skip ahead now. I'm going to simulate an end game state, and we'll get to what happens next. We are at game's end. Let's talk about how we score the end of the game. Now we are going to score our board exactly the same as we would normally. We would score birds and bonus cards and the end around goals, the eggs, the food on the cards, and any cards that are tucked underneath. The Automa, however, scores things a little bit differently. The Automa is going to get points for the end around goals as usual. So in this case, it would get 4, 5, 3, and 7. So those points are exactly the same as ours. However, these are the cards that the Automa would have played either by doing the bird cards, getting cards. Anyway, this is what we're going to do. The next thing we are going to score is the face-up bird cards that they have collected. And those cards are worth the numbers, the victory point numbers that are on the actual card. So 7, 6, 3, 3. Those are scored at face value. These are what you depending on what you chose for your difficulty level. So if you said you were playing at normal, these are worth 4 points each. If you said you were playing at Eaglet, which is the easiest, these are worth 3 points each, and Eagle-Eyed Eagle are 5 points each. Finally, the Automa gets 1 point for each egg that they have collected. So you tally up all those things, tally up your mat, and the winner is the person with the most points. If you end up with a tie, for endgame scoring purposes, for tiebreaker purposes, the Automa has 2 leftover food tokens. If you have more than that and you've tied, you are the winner. If not, well, chalk one up for the Automa. That is all there is to playing Wingspan solo. This Automa was designed by David Studley, and I think he did a fantastic job. It is a very easy to run Automa. It really does feel fair and yet difficult in certain cases. I think, just like anything, there's a little bit of card draws and how you mitigate when things aren't going your way, but I would say that I'm maybe about, I wouldn't say 50%. I think it's probably closer to like 40, maybe a little bit lower, 33%. But it's really easy to run. It's a lot of fun to run, and I think it is a great alternative for when you don't have people around to play Wingspan with. So yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them. And that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching.